I don't know how you found us, but I'm glad you did. It's DF It Sports Podcast, episode number 21. All right, this is Josh. I got my main man, Trav. Trav, it's episode 21 here, a podcast that's all grown up on us.
Yeah, we're official now.
You know, it was a great weekend in sports with some college basketball, getting everything started off there on Saturday. That led us into the NFL playoffs. Had a big game going on tonight in the NBA, Cavs taking on the Warriors. Let's go ahead and get into this NFL talk.
Hold up, Josh. Before we get into the NFL, let's go ahead and get these big dummies out of the way. All right, Josh, let's go ahead and get into these big dummies. And our first big dummy of the week is going to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers coaching staff. Reason they're getting a big dummy of the week is for three reasons. First one, 2 questionable 4th and 1 calls. Why are you not running the ball with the Big Ben, Roethlisberger, to get that first down?
I don't think they have the quarterback sneak in the playbook.
Don't think they did. Number 2, why are you kicking an onside kick when you got 2 minutes and 18 seconds left in the game and plenty of timeouts? Kick the ball deep and put your defense on the field. You're the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Especially when you can't execute the kick. You kick it right off of your own guy.
And the third reason, why didn't you go ahead and kick the field goal when you had a chance to at least give your team a chance to win at the end instead of driving all the way down and scoring a touchdown with 1 second left on the clock? We got to hit them with it.
You big dummy!
Our second big dummy of the week's got to go to all these kids out here and adults eating these Tide Pods.
Oh, you can't do this.
Come on, y'all. I mean, Josh, come on, man. We did a lot of crazy stuff back in our day, but we never wanted to eat laundry detergent.
No, I've never seen a kid in one of the laundry rooms chugging down some Tide or anything like that.
Stop eating these Tide Pods. Anybody out there, and especially if you're putting it on YouTube for everybody else to see it, we got to hit y'all with it.
You big dummy!
And our third and final big dummy of the week, we got to go ahead and give it to him. Mr. Marcus Williams, better known as the guy that missed the tackle.
Man, I feel bad for this guy.
I mean, come on, man. All you had to do was jump up and knock it down. Other options you had was to let him catch it and then tackle him. Another option I can give you would have been to let him catch it and then push him out of bounds. Another option would have been to let him catch it and then let your teammate tackle him if you didn't want to do it. But don't let him catch it and then you miss him and take your teammate out. We got to hit you with it, Marcus.
You big dummy!
Oh, man, that's a rough way to get into the NFL action. But I think it was necessary. We probably needed to go ahead and get that out of the way. But now, Trav, can we go ahead and let's get into these divisional games?
It's football. I've been watching it for 40 years. 40 years.
Let's go ahead and start out in Philadelphia, where there was a great game that took place between the Eagles and the Atlanta Falcons.
Great game.
I think both of us said, you said the Falcons' defense needed to make big plays. I put it on the Eagles that their defense needed to step up. Both of the defenses really played good enough to win this game. Just really came down to the Eagles did a little bit more. They slowed down Atlanta. Second half, Atlanta didn't get on the board. I mean, that's all you can ask for out of your defense to shut down a pretty high-powered offense there in Atlanta.
Yeah, pretty much it started off, Philly looked a little shaky. Y'all started off a little shaky. I did say that y'all were known for dropping the ball in the playoffs. Y'all came out and had a few fumbles early. Luckily, I think they only got 7 points out of.
We dodged a lot there in the first half with all the fumbles.
A lot of fumbles there. Matty Ice started off, pretty hot. He settled in finally there in the first half. Was getting away from the rush. Was able to hit, some short passes out to his running back. Think he even scored on one of those. But I think a big turning point in that first half was the field goal at the end of the first half. Y'all came away with there, made the score 10-9 at half. I think that was pretty big.
Yeah, off a block punt there. Was able to get good field position and score right before there. I was a little worried, too. We also missed the extra point there in the first quarter, which could have come back to haunt us. Luckily, it didn't. Eagles got that win 10-15. It was one of those games. I mean, all these games really come down to the very end, but this was a play that the Falcons had a chance to win there. They roll Matty Ice out to one side of the field, pretty much took away the whole field, and he throws it at Julio, which I can see you're going to go at your best player there at the very end. Julio slipped. I don't know if you saw the play there, but Julio slipped and then tried to get back up and make the play. But when he slips, that really just shuts that play down. And, you're in scramble mode there, and the best they could do was just lob one up there for Jones. And he went up, tried to make a play, heck of a jump, but ball just went right through his hands, out of the back of the end zone.
Yeah, pretty much second half, Matty Ice was getting forced out of the pocket. The Eagles' defense did eventually start to get pressure on him, and, slow-footed Matt Ryan showed up. What I've talked about, a lot of times he's just not able to get away from the rush. When he did get away from the rush, he was still heavily under pressure. Like you talked about on that last play, forced him out of the pocket. One side of the field, Julio slips, had to throw it up. Just a tough play. I'm kind of questioning that play call at the end that you limit yourself to one side of the field. I know Julio fell down, probably threw the timing off on that, but regardless, they knew it was going to Julio. You gotta leave yourself other options. Just not sure about that play call, but Philly held on for the win. Defense stepped up, showed why they were one of the top defenses in the league this year.
You're kind of calling out the play call at the end, and I think a lot of Falcons throughout the season have been a little upset with their offensive coordinator. Do you see the Falcons maybe making a move in the offseason and getting rid of Sarkisian?
No, I think they'll hold on to him. It does take a couple of years for a offense to gel with their offensive coordinator. I see them keeping him around, trying to get some continuity going with, their offensive coordinator and the rest of the team. It does take a couple of years to get that to gel, so I don't see them really making a move that quick.
All right, so that was their first game on Saturday. Eagles, they went ahead and punched their card into the conference championship. Second game on Saturday night was the Titans taking on the Patriots. Titans traveled up there to Foxborough. That's a very tough place to win. Trav, what's your takeaway from this game?
Basically, Mariota started off where he left off last week early. I mean, he came out throwing the ball and running the ball, making some big plays with both his arm and his legs. Both teams started off well on D. I mean, there were quite a few punts early. Finally, New England just kind of settled in and started imposing their will on that run game, just kind of running it on Tennessee. I think a big play early in that game was the play on 4th and 2 when Travis Henry, they tried to hand the ball off to him, and he actually ran backwards instead of just powering forward. It looked like he probably could have got the first down to me. I'm not really sure why he tried to cut back and run backwards there for a loss of yards.
That's really not his style.
No, he's definitely a downhill runner, so I'm not really sure what happened there, but that was definitely a big turning point early in that first half, I believe. And then, like I said, New England just started kind of running the ball down their throat right there. So it was pretty much all downhill after that 4th and 2 went awry.
Yeah, I mean, after that kind of got out of hand. Patriots able to just roll 35-14. I think the Titans got some meaningless points there towards the end of the fourth quarter to really make the score a little bit closer there.
Yeah, Brady just kind of picked them apart in the second half. I mean, just kind of just does what he does, showing why he's probably going to be the MVP this year.
What I got to kind of question is the late start on the Saturday games. They had the Eagles kicking off there at 4 o'clock. Had this game wasn't starting off till, it was 8 o'clock, 8:30, somewhere in there. And then you've got the game gets out of hand. They take it over. By 10:30, this game's already about done. I want to watch every playoff game as much as I can, but, it starts getting 10:30, 11 o'clock. The old man's got to go to bed. It's not that interesting. I think the NFL needs to do more like they do on the Sunday games. Bring them up, earlier, maybe do a 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock kickoff there on that first game.
That's not what the NFL does. They always keep the Sunday schedule the same. Saturday schedule is more of a midday game, late game. It's just, I don't know. I guess they feel they're going to get more viewers on Saturday. People out during the day, coming home later in the evening, 8 o'clock, sit down, watch the game. I don't know, but that's kind of just the schedule they kind of stick with.
I'm not a big fan of it. Now, Sunday, we did get the early kickoff there, 1 o'clock. Jaguars taking on Pittsburgh. I took the Jags in this game. You took Pittsburgh. You didn't want to, I don't think, but you ended up taking them.
Yeah, I took them.
I said the Jaguars can win this game. If it's a close game, low-scoring game, that went out the window. This was a high-scoring game. If I told you last week that Big Ben was going to throw for 469 yards, 5 TDs, I think you take the Steelers in this game, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't see Pittsburgh losing. In a normal situation, I don't see Pittsburgh losing. scoring 42 points, with the Steelers defense that they, usually have. Unfortunately, that defense didn't show up, and they end up losing this game. But, Jacksonville came out on fire pretty much, defensively and offensively. Bortles came out right. Defense picked them up, actually scooped up a fumble, ran it back for a touchdown. Early on, they were getting pressure on Ben. They were, getting at Ben, sacking him, forcing him into some bad throws.
Yeah, what they did is they really forced the ball out of Bell's hand. He didn't get the ball on the ground as much as probably he should have. Those having to pass so many times. And when you get one-dimensional, Brown had a heck of a game. Roethlisberger put up a lot of passing yards on that. And Bell caught the ball some out of the backfield. But, I would like to see Bell get a few more carries, picking up closer to 100 yards on the ground. That's what the Jags were able to do. Fournette, 2 games this season, he's had close to 250 yards against the Steelers defense there. He had 3 touchdowns on this game. He was just a beast the first half. Got slowed down a little bit in the second half with an ankle injury, but he came in there and this Jags defense, they're legit. They gave up a lot of points there, but they're able to get pressure on there. Kind of like them in their matchup against the Patriots with that defense is able to get some pressure. But we'll get into that later. So you already got into it just a little bit there with the big dummies a little bit. Let's go ahead and get into a little bit more about that second half, kind of how it played out.
Yeah, basically, Pittsburgh switched everything up. They came out with a heavy dose of Le'Veon Bell in that second half. They were getting him the ball on the ground and through the air. Roethlisberger was able to find Bell on a little 6-yard wheel route out of the backfield. Nice little touchdown after he kind of bobbled it there in the end zone, was able to haul it back in. Pittsburgh defense finally started getting some pressure on Bortles. He looked a little rattled at one point there in the second half, but he kind of settled down, and you know what happens from there. But getting into when the Jags had that lead, there late, Pittsburgh had a chance after they scored. Antonio Bryant with a nice catch over the rookie. What's his name?
Was that Ramsey? Or was that?
Nice. Yeah, after Bryant had the nice catch in the end zone there, with Ramsey on some tight coverage on him. I think it was like 2 minutes left, 2 minutes, 18 seconds. They decided to kick an onside kick. I'm really not sure why they decided to kick that there.
I trust in my defense, I think. That's a pretty good defense that you got there.
Yeah, definitely with that Steelers D, put your defense on the field, kick it deep, put the guys out there and let them make a stop. I think Tomlin said after the game they hadn't really stopped them all game. Figured he'd decide to kick it deep, but I don't know. You've got the Steelers defense. Put them on the field. Let them win the game for you, or at least give them a chance.
Yeah, definitely. They basically just gave them 3 points there by the time they put the penalty on there, because they ended up kicking it right off of one of their guys after the ball only traveled about 5 yards. That put them right there in their field goal kicker's wheelhouse. Knocks one down through the uprights on that. That gives them Jacksonville the lead. And then, you said they got down the field. They was able to get down the field pretty quick. They was right under about a minute, maybe 45 seconds left there. They were at the 5-yard line, then got a costly penalty on them. And instead of kicking the field goal right then, get the 3 points on the board, and then go back and do another onside kick, they elected to try to go for it. Basically only had 1 second left on the clock after they scored a touchdown.
Yeah, I didn't really understand that. You've went all the way down the field and ran all your time off the clock. To me, it seems it only makes sense to go ahead and kick the field goal early, give your defense a chance again, try kicking an onside kick, and, at least getting the ball back there at the end. Just didn't understand that. Just some questionable calls by the Steelers coaching staff there.
Yeah, that's really not like Tomlin. Tomlin's usually known for keeping pretty cool, having going on. I saw the press conference after this game. He was satisfied with the calls and the way that they played out. He didn't like the way that they were executed, but he liked the calls. I'm with you. I probably questioned the calls a little bit on this. Ended up costing them the game. Had me 3-0 on the day after that big win. We went to the next game. That was the Vikings taking on the Saints. Could I stay 4-0 with my picks?
The miracle in Minnesota.
a Vikings fan, but I got to admit that gets me fired up there a little bit. And I know at Sunday night there, I was pretty fired up. I was really wanting to record the podcast then, just coming off of that great catch. I mean, that was a great way to end a football game. But I guess before we get into the end of that game, we got to talk a little bit of the before the great catch and the great ending. It was the Vikings dominating the first half pretty much. They had full control on this. Everybody on Twitter, they were going crazy on Drew Brees, saying he was old and washed up. Came out at halftime, though. Brees changed it up there. He was able to find Thomas a couple times there, and Saints got rolling, made it a ball game.
Yeah, Vikings jumped out on him early, 17-0. But Drew Brees, does what he does and brought the Saints back. That's just pretty much what Drew does. He makes plays when he needs to. I mean, and that was against a stout Minnesota defense that he showed.
Yeah.
He was getting that done again. So just Drew Brees being Drew Brees, and he did make it a game. You got to respect that. But I just still feel like Minnesota was the better team overall in that game, and the better team won there.
They ended up winning there at the end. One thing that I kind of don't like for a winter playoff game is you're playing in a dome, and it really was 2 field goal kicks there at the end, back and forth. There should be some weather that's coming into play, especially when you're playing in Minnesota. But now they're in a dome, perfect conditions. They're able to kick 50-yard field goals, a 53-yard field goal. I think the Saints kicked there to tie the game up or take the lead. I guess they did. There should be some wind or something that's coming into play on that. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, you're playing in Minnesota. I mean, I don't think Minnesota's ever played outdoors other than the time when they were getting their new stadium built. But
maybe back in the 60s and 70s,
they
had a few outdoor games. But yeah,
I'd say they lost too many games due to those conditions. So they decided, let's build us a dome, let's get inside so we can win some of these games we're losing because of the ice on the field.
Yeah, now you kind of alluded to it. Well, you didn't allude to it. You gave him a big dummy of the week award there. But walk us through that last play, Trav. I mean, what has to happen on this for the Saints to win?
For the Saints to win that, he just has to go up and knock the ball down, I think. I mean, I'm not a defensive expert, but, I mean, to me it seemed like seemed like he was either trying to make a big hit and backed off of it or just missed him altogether. I don't know.
If you're a fan of the Saints there, are you willing to have your defensive player even make a defensive pass interference in that situation?
If you have to, yeah, take the pass interference if that's what it comes down to. I mean, don't just let the man catch the ball and then turn and go the distance on you for about 61 yards. That's just not what you want to do right there. I feel bad for the dude, but, I mean, come on. Take the PI, make him kick a field goal. There was only 10 seconds left when they started to play. So, I mean, by the time he caught the ball, maybe 5-6 seconds left. I mean, tackle him in bounds. They didn't have any timeouts left.
Right.
I mean, at the most, the clock's going to expire. I don't see him running up and being able to spike the ball with that little of time left. So
yeah, it's one of those plays. I definitely feel horrible for this guy. I mean, Saints fans are going to remember him just like the Boston Red Sox fans remember Bill Buckner. It's one individual person that everybody can kind of point to. It's easy to make him the scapegoat. Not to say that he shouldn't have made that play there at the very end, but I mean, he made some big plays in this game. Quite a few tackles.
He made big plays all year long.
Yeah, he had an interception in the third quarter there. So, I mean, he was making plays during the game. It's just one that he didn't make at the end, and, gosh, it cost the team on that one. So, we've got the Minnesota Vikings going to be squaring off against my Eagles in the championship round there. I think we're going to have some good matchups in the championship round.
Definitely looks like we're going to have some big matchups in the conference championships, especially starting off with the AFC championship game. We're going to be getting that matchup with the Jaguars versus the Patriots at 3 o'clock on Sunday. It's going to be jumping off on CBS. Should be a great one. Blake Bortles versus Tom Brady.
Quarterback matchup that everybody's looking forward to, I think.
Yeah, but, definitely going to be a good matchup. We just got to see which Bortles is going to show up. I mean, he started off hot at the beginning of the season, kind of tailed off a little bit towards the end of the season. I think he had like 5 interceptions in the last 2 games. Then even that first playoff game against the Bills, he was kind of down in that one, kind of a sloppy output. And then he came back in the last one, looked fairly well. So got to just see which Bortles is going to show up. This is definitely not the game. You know, he wants to stay in the locker room. He wants to be out there and be fully engaged against these Patriots.
Yeah, I don't think Bortles is even going to be the story in this game. I mean, I think he's going to have a good game, but I think it comes down to the running game. You know, if they're able to be dominant on the ground like they were in the Pittsburgh game there, Fournette's fully healthy, that ankle heals, that takes all the pressure off of Bortles. He's able to go out there, play in control. You got some play-action passing going. You even saw that at the end of the Pittsburgh game there. They was able to run a little play-action pass to their fullback for a touchdown. So, I mean, that's when the Jaguars' offense can stay effective.
Yeah, both teams are definitely going to want to establish a run game early with Fournette for the Jags and, of course, Lewis for the Patriots. But at some point, you're going to have to throw it. These defenses are, pretty good. Jalen Ramsey, stop giving out bulletin board material to the Patriots.
Made some big statements.
He's backed it up so far, but he needs to probably relax for a minute because he's giving them plenty of bulletin board material. What do you think, Josh? Can Brady finally beat a Tom Coughlin-led team? I know Tom Coughlin's not the head coach, but he is, in the front office. He's head of football operations. And his team's, basically, built in his mold.
Yeah, I mean, he's building this a lot like the Giants teams that beat the Patriots there. They've got 4 down linemen that can get after the quarterback. They were second this year in sacks. I think they've got the formula to beat the Patriots. I mean, you're going to have to get a 4-man rush on Brady, have those D-backs back there, picking up some passes, shut down the run game. That's when the Patriots aren't as effective. If there's any team that was in the playoffs in the AFC that could beat the Patriots, I thought the Jaguars were the team. So, I mean, this is going to be a good matchup. I like it. I don't know if I'm quite ready yet to pick the Jags, but, I mean, this is going to be a good matchup. I think a lot of people are sleeping on them. There's a 9.5 point Vegas line on this game right now. I think that's high for the Pats. I think it's going to be a lot closer than that. You see anything different from that, Trev?
I definitely agree with you. I feel like the Jags do have kind of the formula. Their defense is kind of built to, be able to stop a quarterback like Brady. Against Tom Brady, you need to be able to, rush 4 linemen, not 5, not 6. You don't want to blitz him too much because he'll just pick you apart. So I do feel like they do have the team to be able to get at him. With just a 4 down lineman, they're pretty fast and big up front. So
both of us on our picks, we've went with the New England team getting to the Super Bowl. Got a chance here one more week. Do you want to change that?
No, I'm still going to ride with the Patriots in this one. 9-point favorites, even though that Jaguar defense is playing good football right now. I just feel like the experience of Brady and Belichick, they're going to definitely have something for the Jags. They're going to game plan for them all week. They're going to be ready, and they're going to probably beat you in a way that you didn't expect. They're never going to do what you expect them to do. So we'll just have to sit back and see what happens in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think I could put in a couple of ifs in there, but they really don't count. If this game wasn't at Foxborough, if it was on a neutral field, if the Jaguars had just a little bit of playoff experience, maybe I could see them winning this. But traveling to Foxborough, first time being in the championship round, very young team, I just don't see it happening on their close game. But I got the Patriots winning this one.
Yeah, I just can't go with Bortles over Brady. Just feel like Bortles he's gonna make a key mistake somewhere. I feel Brady's gonna make the big play. We'll just have to wait and see, but definitely going Patriots in this one. Next game we got coming up at 6:40 Eastern on Fox is going to get the Vikings at Philly. Question I got for you, Josh: can the Vikings come out and get another miraculous win like they did this past week, or was that their Super Bowl?
I'm going to say no, that they can't do that against the Eagles. Of course, I'm going to say that, if you asked me any way, form, can they beat the Eagles, I was going to say no. So I just don't see it happening. But, yeah, I mean, if I'm being objective, I think the Vikings defense is good enough to win this game. I don't know how the weather's going to affect them as they travel to Philadelphia. I think that may be an issue. I think there was a stat out I saw with the game there with the Falcons. Something like the dome teams are 4-30, 4-32, something like that, when they have to travel and play in temperatures below 35. So, they'll be coming outside playing in some of the cold there at Philadelphia. We'll have to see. It's going to come down once again to the Eagles' defense. Can they shut down the running game. They need to do that. Murray had a pretty good game there against the Saints. And then, can you try to contain the 2 wide receivers for the Vikings? If you can do that, I think you've got a shot. But, we'll see. We'll see. What's your take on this game, Trav?
Well, definitely. I think they're trying to be the first team to get that home Super Bowl. No team's ever, played a Super Bowl at home.
Is that added pressure for them?
No, it's not added pressure. That's just motivation for them to get there and do that. I mean, they're on the road. They're playing the number 1 ranked team in the NFC. I don't really think they have any pressure on them. I think there was more pressure in the game we just watched this weekend and what they're going to have on them this week. Minnesota does have the number 1 ranked defense overall. I feel like they're going to sit back and rely on the defense, let Case Keenum make the plays he needs to make, get the run game going when they need to. I just think this is going to be a bigger test for Nick Foles this week against this Minnesota defense than what he had last week.
He's probably going to have to make a couple more plays. I definitely don't think they'll be able to escape one more round of the playoff if they fumble the ball 3 or 4 times. Ball security's got to be very important. Get that running game going. Early in that game, they was able to get a Jai, running the ball downhill pretty good. Blunt came in there to kind of finish the game up. But, I'd like to see maybe a few more running yards by them and then get some big plays out of Jeffries, who didn't really have a big play in that last game, but get one out of him. And we'll see how that goes. Aguilar, he was doing pretty good in the run game, short pass game. So I think they got to keep him involved as well. Eagles are an underdog in this game. They're 3.5 point underdog, wherever you look at on that. But I'm throwing that out the window. I'm definitely going with the Eagles in this one.
Well, it's no surprise. I wouldn't expect any other way. They need to go with the Eagles, but I'm going to have to go Vikings on this one. Like I said, I just feel like their defense is playing too good right now. And, Nick Foles has been playing good ball, but I don't know. I'm going to go with Vikings on this one.
All right, so your Super Bowl's been changed up a little bit there. I think you've got the Patriots and the Vikings in there. I've got the Patriots and the Eagles playing in the Super Bowl. Man, looking forward to this championship round to take place. Was a little bit of other NFL news that's been taking place there, some rumors that are going on, and then a couple of positions have been filled. We've got the coaching carousel now taking way in the NFL. Been some big names that are out there. Looks like the Patriots may be losing 1, maybe 2 of their coaches in the offseason.
Yeah, hearing Matt Patricia's going to possibly be going to the Detroit Lions for their vacant head coaching position.
He's been rumored for a head coaching position for about 2 or 3 years now. He's finally going to get his shot there with the Lions. He's a defensive guy. I guess they do need to get that rounded up there. You've got a good quarterback with them. One guy that we kind of talked about a couple episodes ago, John Gruden, he was maybe going to be getting part of ownership in the team. That didn't quite happen, but the Raiders went ahead and made him their new coach.
Yeah, he's getting a big payday out there, 10 years for $10 million. So definitely only way to get him back was to pay him, and that's what they did. We're going to see Gruden back out there, Chucky.
Yeah, with that much money, you don't have to give him ownership. He's got $100 million coming to him over the next 10 years. A couple of other rumors that are out there. Sounds like the Giants, they're locking in on the Vikings offensive coordinator, Pat Shurmur. And then there's a little rumor that's going around now that Josh McDaniels, the Patriots offensive coordinator, he may be going to the Colts or the Titans, since the Titans fired their head coach after the playoff loss. If you was a up-and-coming offensive coordinator and you had a chance to either go to the Colts or the Titans, Trav, which would be your pick?
I'm probably going with the Titans. I just feel like they got a younger team. They got Marcus Mariota down there. Good running backs, good receivers. I feel like that'd be a better spot for him to land. I think there's a higher ceiling with the Titans. Colts, they do have Andrew Luck, but they have a little bit more age on them. Frank Gore's getting a little old. The receivers they've got there have been in the league a while. So, just me, I would probably pick the Titans.
Yeah, I think the Titans have more pieces in place. But if you're an offensive coach, it's hard to pass up Andrew Luck, especially if he is a healthy Andrew Luck. I think there's a lot that you can run on offense with him. So I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes. He's going to have some good options. I'm sure they'll have the checkbooks open trying to get either one of those guys in. I guess we can touch a little bit of college, too. Looks like the Bills hired away the offensive coordinator from Alabama. He's going to become their offensive coordinator there. That's going to open up the Bama offensive coordinator position again. This is going to be like the third or fourth time it's been open in the last 18 months. Any names that you're hearing out there or guys that you think that might be coming in?
I think Hugh Freeze or maybe even your old guy from Florida, McElwain. I think they're being rumored around that position.
Well, McElwain was there. He left there about 5 or 6 years ago, so that would bring some continuity back to that team. And one other college hire that took place over the weekend was Kevin Sumlin, former Texas A&M coach. He's going out there to fill in Rich Rod's position in Arizona and leading them. We'll see if they stick with that high-powered young quarterback that they had out there running some of the wishbone. We talked about it at the top of the show. There was a big game going on, just finished up before we started recording. The Warriors taking on the Cavilers. It was a good game through the third quarter there, and then the Warriors kind of pulled away from them.
Yeah, they pulled away at the end. KD dropped 32 on them, had 8 assists. Steph Curry finished up with 23. LeBron had 32. He was 12 out of 18 from the floor. I didn't feel Isaiah Thomas was very much involved in the game, but he ended up with a quiet 19 points in 32 minutes. Even though he only did shoot 8 out of 21 from the field and 1 out of 7 from three-point range. So I'm not sure what's going on with Isaiah. Not sure if he's fully healthy yet or still trying to, gel with the team. He's only been back a few weeks now, so maybe he'll be ready by playoff time.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit with his legs that was coming in. You could see when he come off the bench and come into the game, he was pretty fresh there for short periods of time, but then he was wearing down a little bit. One thing I did notice, though, that Kyrie took advantage of when he was with the Cavs, when they were getting into switching on defense, when they was getting into some pick and rolls, and Steph Curry was having to guard IT. Wasn't going too well for Curry there. IT was able to get to the rack just about any time he wanted to. So that's, I think, the dynamic that Cleveland needs there is, to be able to take advantage of that mismatch. I don't know if they'll get there in the finals. I've got the Celtics still getting to the finals in the East. I think this Cleveland team may have a little bit something there for the Warriors if they were to get to them. There was another clip that was going around on the internet this weekend. It's Markelle Fultz. He was the first-round draft. He was the first overall pick in this year's draft for the 76ers. Trav, did you get to check out and analyze that jump shot?
Yeah, it's not looking too good. His jumper, I don't know what happened to it. I don't remember him always having this horrible of a shot, but yeah, his shot's looking a lot like Charles Barkley's golf swing right now. It's got like 12 different hitches in it, but not looking real good. And I think he's been injured.
He had a shoulder injury there, after the first couple games, which I think was affecting his shooting stroke a little bit, he said. But I think there's something going on in his head. I mean, this is a hitch, like you said. I mean, this isn't fundamentals. This is a mental block right now.
Yeah, and the coach, is even going in on him. So, the coach is even saying, when asked about his return, did he need him to be 100%? And he told the reporter the only thing he needs is for him to be able to shoot the basketball. So,
yeah, he wasn't the greatest shooter in college, but he shot about 40% from the three-point line, a little shorter line and stuff like that. But, you wouldn't expect somebody's shot to just completely change and to have this many hitches on it. So, hopefully they get that figured out. I know all the videos circulating around on the internet isn't going to help clear out his head and get that shot back to form. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's not looking good right now.
They could use him. It looks like Philadelphia is the last team out there in the Eastern Conference, but still got the Celtics at the top there, Raptors and Cavilers, the top three teams in the Eastern Conference there. Over to the West, about like we expected it to look, starting to take shape a little bit.
Yeah, Golden State's still on top. Houston right behind them, and then you got the Minnesota Timberwolves at the third spot. And San Antonio sitting right there at 4. So
yeah, look at number 5. We've talked about them. When they're going to get it together there. It looks like the Thunder has moved up there into that 5th spot in the Western Conference.
Yep, so they're going to be right there in the playoff hunt.
So switching over from the pro game to the college game, did you get to see that college basketball game with Oklahoma taking on TCU before the NFL playoff game took off?
Yeah, Trae Young was out there putting in work again.
Yeah, you gave him a big shout-out last week there, told him to keep on balling out, and he must have heard you say that, 43 points. That was unbelievable.
he's been scoring the ball at will, basically, from long range, and getting to the hole on the pick and roll. Plus, dishing it off to his teammates. So his game's just all around nice game right now.
It is for sure. And there's another freshman that in this class down there in Duke. He had another monster game this weekend. Led the Dukies to a win. It's just really fun to watch and fun to see these freshmen making such a big impact in the game right now.
Who you got? Who is it?
Marvin Bagley Jr.
Yeah, Bagley's been balling out down in Duke. So, definitely some youngsters getting it done.
Yeah, and I hadn't got a chance to really watch him play too much there. They say the best guy in this class may be the kid out in Arizona, a big old guy that's dominating on the inside. I'm going to have to stay up late there and watch a couple of his games on the West Coast, so that's one I've got to check out this year. The polls, we talked about them, that number one team having a hard time staying there. This week it actually stayed there. It looks like Villanova's going to be keeping that top spot there. The number two team did drop out of that. We've got our home state filling in that number 2 spot, and then Purdue and Oklahoma at 4, and Duke rounds out number 5. Any other major surprises you see in the top 25 as it's sitting right now?
Not really. It's pretty much expected right there. West Virginia at 6, Wichita State at 7. Looks pretty good to me, man. Yeah,
with Arizona State there, they started out undefeated. They've taken on 3 losses here recently. They fell down to about 15-16 on that. I guess the Purdue team kind of shocks me a little bit, sneaking up there to number 3. They've only got 2 losses on the year. I'll have to watch the Boilermakers play a little bit this year and see what they're all about.
Yep.
All right, Trav, we're just about ready to get in some new merch. I want everybody to go ahead and take a look at, if you're not following us on Facebook or Instagram, we're going to have some contests going. We've got some shirts that are going to be available first out. We're going to do some giveaways. Probably got about 10, 15 shirts that we're going to give away here over the next couple of months. So make sure you're following us on both of those platforms. Instagram, just go in there and search If It's Sports.
Yep.
Facebook, do the same thing. Right up there in the search bar, just type in If It's Sports. You'll be able to find our page. Give us a like on there. And before we get out of here, I think there's one guy that we got to give a little bit of a tribute to. Being football fans, especially college football, this guy meant a whole lot, as we were growing up and young guys growing up and wanting to catch that game on Saturday.
The hyperbole is done. Now we can finally play the game. Look at that. Oh, my goodness. One man. Goodbye. Hello, Haskins. Intercepted by Teague. George Teague to the end zone. Touchdown. We're going to play football. Yippee. The ball's up in the air. Caught. Ball goes into the end zone, and it is incomplete. Hold the phone, everybody. There's a penalty flag thrown, and I think it's against Miami. The royalty of college football is in assembly at the Rose Bowl 2006. He's going for the corner. He's got it. Vince Young scores. Texas has defeated Southern California to win the national championship of college football.
Not too many out there that did it the way that Keith Jackson did. He passed away this weekend there at 89. Trav, was there anybody that you remember or growing up that called a game better than he did?
No, Keith Jackson was one of the greats calling college football, man. So definitely a big loss for college football there.
All right, Trav, that's going to about wrap us up here for today. You ready to go ahead and get on out of here?
Yeah, let's go ahead and get up out of here, man.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please help us out with a subscribe on your favorite platform.
To find all our listening services and social media accounts to follow, check out our website, ifitsports.com. Select the Listen to Podcast link from the top menu. And remember, if it's sports,
we're talking about it.